Good evening and welcome. What began as a routine floor speech has now escalated into a political earthquake in Washington. A member of Congress has formally announced plans to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, accusing her of constitutional violations, abuse of power, and what they describe as terrorizing American communities through aggressive immigration enforcement.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to announce I will be impeaching Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Secretary Noem has violated the Constitution, and she needs to be held accountable for terrorizing our communities. Operation Midway Blitz has torn apart the Chicagoland area. President Trump declared war on Chicago, and then he brought violence and destruction to our city and our suburbs in the form of immigration enforcement. In my district, federal agents rappelled down from Blackhawk helicopters and burst into an apartment building in the South Shore area. They dragged U.S. citizens and non-citizens alike out of their beds in the middle of the night. They claimed the apartment was infiltrated by members of a Venezuelan gang. I don't understand this president's obsession with Venezuela, but they did not arrest a single member from that gang. I visited that apartment building and saw firsthand the destruction those agents left. Doors to people's homes or apartments were kicked down. Belongings, including little kids' toys, were strewn about in the hallway. That raid and so many others shook our community, not just immigrants, but everyone. Now Secretary Noem has brought her reign of terror to Minneapolis after she left Charlotte and Raleigh. We have all seen what happened. An ICE officer shot and killed Renee Nicole Good in cold blood. Without knowing any of the facts or an investigation, Secretary Noem lied about what happened. She called a beloved 37-year-old mom a domestic terrorist. Secretary Noem and her rogue agents are the ones terrorizing our communities, and she is breaking the law to do so. I will hold her accountable, and I'm filing 3 articles of impeachment against Secretary Noem. Number 1, obstruction of Congress. Secretary Noem has denied me and other members of Congress oversight of ICE detention facilities. It is our constitutional duty to find out what's happening in these centers where people are reportedly being treated like less than animals. 2, violation of public trust. Secretary Noem directed ICE agents to arrest people without warrants, use tear gas against citizens, and ignore due process. She claims she's taken murderers and rapists off our streets, but none of the 614 people arrested during Operation Midway Blitz has been charged or convicted of murder or rape. 3, self-dealing. Secretary Noem has abused her power for personal benefit. She steered a federal contract to a new firm run by a friend, her friend. Her propaganda campaign to recruit ICE agents cost taxpayers $200 million. She made a video that turned the South Shore raid into something that looked more like a movie trailer. But make no mistake, this is not a movie. This is real life, and real people are being hurt and killed. I really have to wonder who are the people behind the mask. These DHS agents have no identifying factor. From all their botched raids and officer-involved shootings, I have to ask, what is their training like? What is the vetting? Is Secretary Noem recruiting January 6th insurrectionists? I was one of the last members of Congress to escape the House gallery on January 6th. I remember hiding on my hands and knees and running through the hallways to a safe room. Insurrectionists are not fit to serve as law enforcement. I realize that impeachment of Secretary Noem does not bring Renee back. True justice would be Renee alive today, at home with her family. Impeachment doesn't bring back the 4 other people killed by immigration officers this year, including a man in Chicago. We could not bring them back to their loved ones. What we can do, though, is impeach Secretary Noem, hold her accountable, let her know the public is watching. In this country, we do not kill people in cold blood without consequences. These are not policy disagreements. These are violations of her oath of office, and she must answer for her impeachable actions. I yield back.
The chair now recognizes the gentleman.
This is not just another partisan clash. It raises serious questions about federal authority, civil liberties, and accountability at the highest levels of government. Before we go deeper, if you want clear, fact-focused breakdowns of the biggest political moments shaping the country, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now so you do not miss what comes next. At the center of this controversy is a federal operation known as Operation Midway Blitz. According to the lawmaker's statement, this operation targeted the Chicagoland area with overwhelming force. We are talking about federal agents reportedly descending from Blackhawk helicopters, storming apartment buildings in the dead of night, and pulling residents, both U.S. citizens and non-citizens, out of their homes. The stated justification was the presence of members of a Venezuelan gang. But here is the key issue raised in this speech. Not a single alleged gang member was arrested during that raid. The speaker described visiting the apartment complex personally and seeing doors kicked in, personal belongings scattered, and children's toys left in hallways. That imagery is powerful because it shifts the conversation from abstract policy to real human impact. If you are finding this breakdown helpful so far, take a moment to subscribe so you can stay informed as this story develops. The concern did not stop in Chicago. The lawmaker says similar operations followed in other cities, including Charlotte, Raleigh, and later Minneapolis. It is in Minneapolis where the situation turns even more serious. During an ICE-related encounter, an officer shot and killed a woman named Renee Nicole Good, described as a 37-year-old mother who was well known in her community. According to the statement, before any full investigation was completed, Secretary Noem publicly labeled her a domestic terrorist. In cases involving fatal use of force, standard procedure typically calls for independent investigation, evidence review, and restraint in public statements. When a cabinet-level official characterizes a civilian as a terrorist without established findings, critics argue it can prejudice investigations and undermine public trust. This is why the accusation of misinformation and misconduct is central to the impeachment effort. If you want continued coverage that explains not just what happened, but why it matters, remember to subscribe to the channel. Now, let us talk about impeachment itself, because this is where many viewers have questions. Impeachment is not a criminal conviction. It is a constitutional process used by Congress to investigate and potentially remove federal officials for high crimes and misdemeanors. In this case, 3 articles of impeachment are being proposed. The first, obstruction of Congress. The allegation is that Secretary Noem denied lawful oversight, possibly by refusing documents, testimony, or cooperation required by lawmakers. Congressional oversight is a core check on executive power. When it is blocked, it raises alarms about accountability. The broader argument being made here is that immigration enforcement, no matter how politically charged, must still operate within the Constitution. That means respecting due process, avoiding collective raids without clear cause, and ensuring transparency when lives are lost. Supporters of the impeachment say this is about protecting communities and the rule of law. Opponents are likely to argue this is political theater and that strong enforcement is necessary for national security. Understanding both sides is essential, and that is what we aim to bring you. Subscribe now so you stay ahead of the headlines with context, not noise. As this moves forward, several things will matter. Will Congress formally take up the articles of impeachment? Will internal investigations corroborate or contradict the claims made about these raids? And how will the administration respond to accusations that federal power is being used in ways that frighten entire communities, not just undocumented immigrants, but citizens as well? This story is no longer just about one cabinet secretary. It is about how far federal authority can go, how quickly narratives are shaped after tragedy, and whether accountability mechanisms still function in moments of intense political pressure. We will continue following every development, breaking it down clearly and responsibly. If you value that kind of reporting, subscribe to the channel and stay with us as this high-stakes confrontation unfolds.